Emily, you're home.
Don't think about the past.
So get used to it.
You can relax.
I'm in charge here, Emily, not you.
Just think about the future.
This is home.
You'll fit in, you'll see.
Home.
You can still do some things.
Don't you talk to me that way, young lady.
Just forget the past.
You'll do as I tell you.
I didn't mean for it to happen.
You won't be living in sin any longer.
Sorry.
You will never see him again.
I didn't know that you were injured.
What are you talking about, Emily?
Sorry about your father.
You will do as I tell you.
It's all Cliff's fault.
You will not mention that name again.
Cliff.
I don't want to hear this.
So what is it, Emily?
The worst choice ever.
Just take one day at a time.
You were throwing your life away.
One day at a time.
And it cost us.
Don't dwell on it.
It cost your father's life.
I'm sorry.
And it changed yours.
The new normal.
Forever.
Welcome back, Emily.
Forever, Emily.
Welcome home.
He put you there. Forever one with that wheelchair.
I was just thinking of my 11th birthday party. We were in that cold brick place, remember? The one that never really got any sun. And we were having the party in the backyard. Well, what there was of a yard. It was very cramped. And I remember all the people who were there and how crowded it felt and how I just wanted to run away from it all and have some breathing space of my own. Of course, Mother wouldn't let me out of her sight. So I had to spend the entire afternoon out there in that overcrowded yard, not really enjoying myself, but pretending to. Do you remember that day, Uncle Len?
I think so, Emily, but I don't quite remember it that way exactly. I always thought you enjoyed your parties and all the food, all the games, and running around. Well, at least I thought you enjoyed it.
Well, I didn't. I've never really liked games much to begin with. And like everyone else, I took the running and jumping for granted. Since the accident, I've thought and cursed and prayed these last 6 months. Everything about that night is a jumble. Most things just a blur, but that's changing. And it's coming back into focus, piece by piece. And I know that I have only one major problem, really.
And what's that?
Mother.
Well, Maureen's a complex woman, and she can hold a grudge. Huh. But hey, on the bright side, you're out of the hospital now, and at long last, you're home.
No, not my home. Mother's. Mine is with Cliff in our apartment.
No. Things have changed, Emily. And as far as Cliff goes, well, perhaps it's better not to dwell on the past. I mean, the less said, the better. Look, we can't go back to the way it was.
And Father?
Haskell was a great loss on many levels. He was my only brother. I will always miss him. Died so needlessly. Hey, but you know, lamenting isn't going to make it any better, is it? I mean, look, let's just focus on moving forward, on using the gifts we have.
My gifts?
Oh, your intellect, of course. Summa cum laude and all that. You're a very bright woman. Concentrate on that.
On my intellect. I suppose you're right, Uncle Len. And you know what they say, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. And when he taketh away, he doesn't fool around, does he?
Emily, I want to speak with you now.
Ah, the master calleth.
Oh, hello, Leonard. Have you been here long?
Long enough for a short chit chat. Emily invited me over.
Short. With you, there's no such thing. That word is not in your vocabulary. But whiskey is. You'd like one, I suppose.
No, thank you. I'm cutting back.
Well, bully for you. I'm not. We need to talk, Emily and I.
And let me guess, preferably without my guidance.
Without your psychological mumbo jumbo, yes.
It's not mumbo jumbo. Maureen, I can help.
You can also leave. That would be most useful.
You know, it's a good thing I'm not easily offended.
Heaven knows I've tried.
All right. I know when I'm not wanted. Look, don't tear yourselves apart while I'm gone.
Enjoy. Let me guess today's taboo subject. Cliff?
That's a name I would rather not hear.
We can't ignore him.
Yes, actually we can.
Well, I can't, and I won't.
There's no future between the two of you. There never has been.
You do realize what day this is, don't you?
Don't go there, Emily.
This is the day, Mother.
I won't even dignify this with a discussion.
We have to talk about it.
There's nothing to talk about.
Cliff is released from prison today. His 6-month sentence is up.
I don't want to hear this.
We were together before the accident, and
You are not going to live with him. Not a second time. And if you do, you will never visit this house again. Ever. Do you understand me? And that is final.
You may as well come back in now, Uncle Len. You've no doubt heard everything.
Yeah, I did. Look, I'm sorry you had to go through that. I don't know what to think, really.
Oh.
Okay, I didn't know I was that good of a comedian.
Oh.
What's so funny?
You don't know what's wrong with Mother? Great psychologist you are. If you don't know what's wrong with her, then no one does.
And you're right, as usual, Emily.
I suppose she thinks she's protecting me.
Protecting the offspring.
Overprotecting the offspring.
It's only natural.
No, not always. Some species leave their offspring to fend for themselves. Survival of the fittest.
True, but we're not one of those species. We breed, raise, pamper, and protect.
Too much protection.
Well, after what happened to you, I can't say that I blame her. With all your injuries, I would also be inclined to err on the side of caution, just to make sure you were safe.
You can't wrap me up in woolen blankets forever.
Perhaps. But if not, where do you go?
To live where I was before, with Cliff.
How can you put your life back in his hands, huh? He was the one driving the car that night, and he was drunk.
It wasn't him.
He was convicted and jailed.
Yes, for 6 months and released.
And that's official?
As of today.
And you think he'll just come back to you? Oh, Emily. Some long-lost romantic hope of yours? Some schoolgirl dream? I know it's unpleasant, but you have to face the facts. Cliff and you will never be together. You won't hear from him again.
I already have.
Wait, what?
I spoke with him this morning.
I hadn't realized.
We talked about what happened that night, and it's brought back some memories, some very specific memories.
How specific?
Well, for one thing, I don't remember Cliff driving at all. He was in the back seat with me. We fell asleep, and then there was nothingness.
No, your memory's faulty, Emily. It's unreliable.
I remember well enough. I remember you used to drink a lot, Uncle Len, but then you stopped suddenly. Why?
Well, I just did. I don't drink anymore.
Not since the accident.
No. I learned from others. So, what else do you remember about that night?
The four of us had gotten together without Mother to discuss my living with Cliff. You drove us over to the restaurant. We had dinner and then a few drinks. Do you remember that?
Well, of course. And then I remember you and your father both having a lot to drink, and I put the two of you in the back seat. Then I got into the front with Cliff, who was driving. I just hadn't realized at the time how much he'd had. God, I wish to hell I did. It was just a few minutes when we had the accident. Maureen, I didn't know that you were there.
Go on, Leonard. Don't let me stop you. Continue, please. I want to hear this.
Are you sure?
I'm certain.
I was just reminding Emily of the details of that night. She has some doubts.
About what in particular?
Cliff's guilt.
What could you possibly doubt?
All of it?
What's that, Emily?
A package. A very small package that was delivered this morning.
You certainly seem pretty happy about it.
Of course, good things come in small packages.
Yes, and so does poison.
So, what is it, Emily?
Just a little something from an old acquaintance. Keys to Cliff's apartment. I'm moving back in today.
No, well, we're going over old ground here. Emily, Cliff was
He wasn't driving the car that night, Uncle Len, and you know it.
What are you talking about, Emily?
Cliff was asleep in the back seat. He didn't crash the car.
Well, if he didn't, then who did?
Uncle Len. He was driving the car that night.
Wait, what?
Emily?
We all knew he drank, Mother. We're from a family of drinkers. We've all had to cover up for him at one time or another. We've always had to. And that's where I'm at fault as well.
You? How?
I couldn't drive myself back. I was too drunk. And I knew that Cliff was too. And that's why I'm so sure about where Cliff was, because he was right beside me the entire time.
And how is the accident your fault?
It's mine because I forgot the number one rule of this family. Check up on Uncle Len. I forgot to. And if I'd remembered, I would have called him out on it and stopped him from driving. But I didn't. I only concentrated on Cliff. And because of that, we've all paid a hefty price for our family curse. And for that, I will never cease being sorry.
No. Your mind is playing tricks on you. Cliff was driving.
Let her finish, Leonard. Let her finish. Go ahead, Emily, please.
You were driving, Uncle Len, and the only one unhurt after the incident. Father was dead. My back was broken, and Cliff was unconscious. All you had to do was move Cliff into the driver's seat and then lie. And you're good at that.
Is that what happened? Is Emily telling the truth? Answer me, Leonard. And don't you dare lie to me.
I didn't. I swear, Emily, I didn't mean for it to happen. So I'm sorry.
Oh. Then it was you.
Yes.
You took Haskell's life. My joy, my love, your very own brother.
It was an accident.
And your niece's health.
You didn't mean for it to happen.
You put her there, forever one with that wheelchair.
It was an accident.
And if that wasn't bad enough, that boy just spent 6 months in prison for something you did. You stole 6 months of his life. You disgust me. I never want to see you again.
Maureen.
Just get out. You sicken me.
Emily, please, let me explain.
No. Uncle Len, Mother's right. You've stolen so much from all of us. I can't listen to you anymore either.
How long have you known this?
Only since this morning. When I was talking with Cliff, it sparked a memory. He said he just had a shave. And then I remembered the smell of his aftershave. That night of the accident just before we went to the restaurant, Cliff had shaved then too. He wanted to look good for Father and Uncle Len. And that's what I remembered from the back seat. The smell of his aftershave. And it all came back. Everything. Cliff and I snuggled together in the back seat. Father riding shotgun and Uncle Len driving. That's how I remembered.
That poor boy. You knew he was sending those?
I did.
And you're certain about this? Really, really certain?
As we can be, I suppose. He was afraid that after 6 months I wouldn't love him anymore, and I was afraid that he wouldn't love me because of my injuries. So we're both afraid, but we're going to give it a try. We have to.
So much collateral damage, Emily. Physically, emotionally. I know we can't go back. It's too late for that. All we can do is go forward. Go forward and...
Survive?
Yes. Yes, that's it exactly. And survive.
Then that's what we're going to do, Mother. We're going to survive.